Hello TFG radio fans and 40k aficionados, SaltyJohn here with a new battle report. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, and this one is coming hot off the heels of my newest personal crusade, fixing the 40k missions by increasing diversity in mission types, namely by introducing missions that use a first past the post scoring mechanic to cut down on slow play and hopefully encourage completion of games. I enlisted the help of last year's #1 Blood Angel player Danny Kwan. Well, he would have won the prize. He couldn't go to LVO due to work, so maybe this season, 2017, will be his year. Danny and I have both changed directions with armies, which is one of the reasons I haven't done a bat rep in a while. Danny picked up Alpha Legion, and I have been doing up Death Guard. We're playing at 1500 points because we are both currently in a league I am running that is an escalation-style ladder league, and this week's games are 1500 points. Danny's Alpha Legion is a CAD with a Lord on bike, Fist, Claw, Mind Veil. Level 3 Sorcerer with Stave, Familiar, and Bike. 2 5-man CSM squads and Rhinos with a Meltagun, 3 5-man Chosen squads and Rhinos with 3 Meltaguns apiece, 3 3-man Spawn squads, and a Chaos Fire Raptor to round out the CAD. I'll be playing Death Guard Victorium with Chaos Warband and Spawn as an auxiliary. The Lord has a Fist, Claw, and Sigil. He's on a bike. Level 3 Sorcerer, Stave, Sigil, Bike. 2 10-man CSM squads with Plasma Gun and Autocannon. 5 Terminators with 4 Chain Fists and a Heavy Flamer. 3 Bikers with 2 Meltaguns and a Meltabomb on the Champion. 2 5-man Havoc squads with 4 Autocannons and 4 Spawn. Both Danny and I roll on the Biomancy table for Psychic powers. He gets Endurance. I do not. The mission is a modified ITC mission. There are 6 objectives. The main thing is how the mission is scored. At the end of each player turn, a player scores 1 point for holding an objective. Objectives are held as outlined in the 40k rulebook. However, a unit cannot hold or contest more than one objective at a time. Both players can score points, whether it is their turn or not. The first player to score 18 points wins. If neither player has scored 18 points by the end of turn 7 or time is called, the game is a draw. The intention is to make sure the games finish, and to try and create less incentive to slow play. Without further ado or discussion, here's the match.
Alright, here we are at deployment, and I've got the top of turn 1, and since Danny told me I have to go first, he's not allowed to seize. It's in the mission. So, we are playing the special mission like I outlined earlier in the voiceover. So, I forgot quite stupidly that Danny is allowed to infiltrate and not just outflank, so his guys got all over there where I can't see them, which is pretty good for him. There are 6 objectives, and you'll see the 6 objectives in the flyover, but there's basically 1 in the corner, 1 over there, then there's in the center on each side, and then in the center also. So we'll see how it goes after my turn 1, and see how the scoring of points on the end of each player turn happens.
Forgetting that Danny could infiltrate and not just outflank was a huge mistake on my part in this game. We're not really looking at the game itself. Really, we're looking at how the mission works, but still, that mistake hurts.
Alright, here we are at the end of John's turn 1, and so far I've just moved up into Danny's area. I've got myself on 3 objectives. Danny has himself on 3 objectives. That means that we each score at the end of my turn, and so that puts the score currently at 3 and 3, and we'll score again at the end of Danny's turn. I did get 2 nice boons from my Lord. I got rerolled armor save and +1 to toughness, so he's now toughness 7. And he becomes more of a beast as the game goes on, which is kind of how it works with the warband. So Danny's turn 1 is coming up. Until he gets turned into a spawn, yes.
Having started playing Chaos more, I feel like a lot of players, particularly those who exist mostly just on the internet, tend to overlook the fact that you're getting to roll on the boon chart twice. Every turn for one of your lords is great, and you can make your basic cheap lord into a beat stick and an amazing part of your list very quickly just through a couple of very lucky rolls. And also because you don't have to take both of them, it's unlikely you will turn your guy into a spawn or a demon prince when you don't want to.
So here we are at the end of Danny's turn 1, and he moved a bunch of stuff up. he managed to mobilize his own Rhino. One of the only two without dozer blades, of course. Didn't fix it, but he did get up and deny an objective from me getting it, so I only scored 2 points at the end of his turn 1, and he scored 3. So the score is currently 6-5, and remember, we're trying to get to 18 first, before turn 7 or before time is called. Alright, this is the end of John's turn 2, and we had a bunch of combat that went on over there and then behind the wall. So I managed to pop one Rhino, shooting a ton of autocannons at it, and then charge the inhabitants. That went, I lost by 1, but I'm fearless, so don't care. Over there, my lord and his lord are in a challenge. Managed to kill off each other's sorcerers, so there's that going on. But other than that, we've got kind of just a slow scrum. At the end of my turn, we scored again. So the score currently sits with, I've got 7, and Danny's currently at 9. And we're trying to get to 18. On to Danny's turn 2.
It's really kind of interesting having a list that outflanks and does a lot of movement and is highly mobile against a list that's supposed to just kind of trudge forward and not die. The two lists are really cool to play against each other. I'm really enjoying this Alpha Legion versus Death Guard match, and the mission is turning out to be pretty interesting at this point because we're kind of tied up and we're sort of doing the same thing, but you can see where one of us can definitely has an opportunity to go ahead or really lose it out. So although we're not sure how it's going to end up at this point, it is very interesting to play a new type of mission, and it's cool to do something that's, you know, not one of the standard 6 ITC missions or even one of the ATC missions.
So this is the end of Danny's turn 2, and he's moved a bunch of stuff up from the board edge over here. He basically moved a lot of things flat out in order to try to get, kind of corner me in the end. His guys charged up and killed off a squad of Havocs that were in the center of the board by the statue, and that's kind of it. However, he does hold 1, 2, 3 objectives, and I only hold 2. So that does bring the score here to Danny's got 12 total, and I've got 9 total. So I've got to get him off some objectives and slow him down, otherwise next turn all the way through it'll be done if he scores 3 and 3 again. Alright, here we are at the end of John's turn 3, and a bunch of cool stuff happened. I was able to pop a Rhino, but I was also able to clear off all the spawn and the 2 bike, the bike sorcerer, bike lord, with a bunch of shooting and combat. Terminators were clutch on that one. And then over there with the spawn, I charged my spawn and lord into his spawn over there. And my lord went totally crazy this turn. And as one of his boons, 2 boons, he rolled to roll D3 more boons, +1, and rolled a 6. So I got to roll 4 additional rolls. So now my guy, if you see on this crazy chart, he gets to reroll armor saves. He's +1 toughness. He's +1 armor saves, so he's a 2-up rerollable. He has Eternal Warrior, +1 to his Feel No Pain, so he's got 4-up Feel No Pain instead of 5. Fleshbane, Hammer Wrath, and his attacks have instant death. So the instant death really is what did it to those spawn over there. I was able to get Danny off of an objective, so now he only scored 2 this turn, and I scored 3, so it's a bit of a reversal. So he's now sitting at 14, and I am sitting at 12. So I'm catching up slowly. We'll see how his turn 3 goes.
There's a couple really interesting things going on in the match at this point, one of which is Danny's used Mind Veil, which is one of those cool new relics that's available to Alpha Legion in the Traitor Legion's book, and so he's able to get his spawn and his characters out of combat with my spawn and my characters, and go over and eat a Havoc squad. And it's neat to see how the mission is unfolding and how our playstyles are adapting with the new way that the missions are being played out. For example, Danny's not doing a whole lot of shooting. He's sitting on a lot of objectives. I'm trying to push him off as much stuff as possible by shooting and assaulting.
So here we are at the end of Danny's turn 3, and his Fire Raptor came on. That Alpha Legion Fire Raptor in disguise came on. I like it, it's fluffy. And he was able to shoot down the bikers and get them off that objective. But I was able to kill one guy in the squad behind the wall over there to give me that objective. And then he was able to move up and deny the objective in the center. So we each scored 2, which puts us tied at 14 each. And and if it plays out the way we think it's going to play out on my turn, when we score, we will simultaneously reach 18 and draw, which is interesting because that wasn't even something that I thought of when I was designing the missions. So this is cool. We're both having a lot of fun practicing this mission and trying it out and testing it. So we're going to see how it goes and see if I can do anything to stop that from happening.
At this point, it really is just a formality. There's really no way I can win the game, and I'd have to get some very cold dice in order for Danny to win. We've pretty much assumed it's a draw, and so this does bring up one problem, and one of those problems we think is that the points limit is simply not high enough in this game. The threshold isn't high enough. You need to have to accrue more points in order to win, is what our working theory at this point is.
Here we are at the end of top of turn 4, which is into John's turn 4, and the game does end because what we predicted that was going to happen happened. The spawn could not clear off that objective over there, and the Terminators were there anyways. They probably would have kept somebody without 3, so that happened. I got 1, 2 in the center because I was able to pop the Rhino and shoot down the squad so they can't get it. 3 over there with the Biker, and 4 over there with my Lord squad, and Danny has 1 here and 1 here. So that brings the total after just 4 turns, halfway through 1 turn 4 actually, to 18 and 18, so the game ends in a tie. So we're going to take a look at the mission and see how we liked it. There might need to be some changes, maybe boosting the number or saying what happens in the event of a tie. That we'll see. At 1,500 points, this game went by pretty fast, even though it was a new mission. So I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my Lord getting super buffed up. He even got fleet and +1 ballistic skill again on my turn, so he's pretty nuts. That's the end of the game, and it was a great game. And look for more battle reports of more of these missions, because I got other missions. We're going to try them out.
So Danny and I really liked the mission. We really enjoyed the different way that we were scoring objectives and that you could score every turn, whether it was your turn or not. There was a lot of back and forth that went on in the game in terms of strategy and tactics that we were using, and it forced you to play your list differently, which is cool. And it also is going to force different style lists, and I've made about 5 missions, and they all have different aspects to them, and they're all sort of designed to make it so that slow play is not going to be rewarded, which is what I think is a major problem with the current missions, is that the current missions and the way they're designed, through no fault of the ITC, ATC, Adepticon, or whatever, that's just the way 40K has worked for the last few editions. They're just rewarding players for playing slow and for controlling when the game ends or does not end. So hopefully if we can add a few missions in that do this, or maybe even 8th edition will solve this, I don't know. But if we can add a couple of missions into things that are in the competitive meta, we might be able to force people to do things a little bit different and think about the missions differently. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and do a lot more of these. I'm going to do some more missions. I'm even going to try to have our league all 1 week play one of the missions. I have one that uses zones of control and all kinds of stuff. So check back to tfgradio.com and check out my articles on this and any further articles that I'm going to have on this, because there's going to be a couple.
You got a lovely face. We're going to your place, and now you got to freak me out. Scream so loud, getting fucking late. You want me to stay, but I got to make my way. Hey, you're crazy bitch, but you fuck so good I'm on top of it.